Welcome to Module 3, Introduction to Epidemiology. Throughout this module, you'll be introduced to the basic fundamentals of epidemiology and the most common signs and symptoms associated with a quick-spreading virus or infection such as COVID-19. You'll also learn about the means of transmission for viruses and the steps taken to quickly contain them. By the end of this module, you'll have an understanding of how contact tracing can be used to help curb the spread of infection. If you need to exit in the middle of the module, you can come back and resume where you left off. However, you won't receive credit until you finish the entire module. And click the Submit button on the last slide. It's the year 2020. Within the first few months of the year, a virus has made its way across the globe. People are becoming infected at exponential rates. Public health efforts all over the world are desperately trying to slow the spread by implementing prevention protocols, like stay-at-home orders and social distancing, and committing to research that could potentially identify a vaccine or treatment. The goal? To eradicate a new pandemic. This isn't the first time that the world has experienced an outbreak that crossed international borders. Smallpox, bubonic plague, Spanish flu, tuberculosis, polio, HIV, Ebola, and SARS are just a few instances where the world was overcome by a deadly outbreak. COVID-19 is yet another pandemic to take the world by surprise. But how did this happen? Let's take a look at the science of epidemiology. Epidemiology is the study of the relationships between hosts and infectious agents. Translation: where the virus or infection comes from and how it is spread among humans, animals, and other organisms. The goal of epidemiology is to analyze the frequency of health problems across populations, identify patterns and potential causes, and evaluate the effectiveness of prevention measures and treatment. It also involves the forecasting and prediction of future outbreaks. However, as we've observed throughout history, the accuracy can be as unpredictable as the weather. We fight off infections seen and unseen on a daily basis, at work, school, when we visit family and friends, at the grocery store, the gas station, and when we travel. We are exposed to viruses and infections everywhere we go. Viruses depend on the host organism that they infect to stay alive and continue to reproduce itself. When an infected host is in close contact with other potential hosts, infectious spread can begin. The more hosts available, the faster the transmission. So, how are viruses and infectious diseases spread? Surprisingly, there are quite a few ways to contract a virus. Infection or disease. Airborne transmission occurs through breathing, coughing, or sneezing. Contact transmission occurs with something as simple as a handshake or hug, to more intimate methods such as kissing and sexual intercourse. Vehicle transmission occurs through food, milk, and water. Contamination through poorly sanitized water is one example of this. Vector transmission occurs when an infected insect picks up a pathogen from an animal and transmits to others through a bite, like a mosquito bite. Transplacental transmission occurs during pregnancy, from a mother to a developing baby. When it comes to an infection such as COVID-19, scientists and medical professionals are still learning about the specific modes of transmission. Current findings show that the virus can be spread via airborne, contact, and quite possibly transplacental modes. Specific to viruses like COVID-19, healthcare professionals recommend that you avoid shaking hands and hugging others. This prevention measure is suggested to avoid which type of viral transmission. Most infectious viruses and/or diseases have their own unique set of symptoms. However, there are a few signs and symptoms that are common at the onset of any viral infection. These general symptoms can include, but are not limited to, fever, diarrhea, fatigue, muscle aches, and coughing. People who begin to display these symptoms are encouraged to seek medical treatment if they also experience trouble breathing, coughing for more than a week, a severe headache with fever, an unexplained or prolonged fever, an animal or insect bite, and a rash, hives, or blisters. If someone is exposed to an infectious disease or virus, or experiences any of the common signs and symptoms during an outbreak, then there may be concern for viral transmission. There are a number of ways to prevent the spread of outbreaks or quick-spreading viruses such as COVID-19. They include avoiding exposure by staying home or staying away from others, maintaining social distance when in public, washing hands often and efficiently, cleaning and disinfecting potentially exposed surfaces and common areas, self-isolating if experiencing signs or symptoms, maximizing testing protocol, and employing contact tracing measures. Preventing the spread of an infectious disease or virus during an outbreak is crucial for minimizing additional risk to society. You recently returned from a vacation where you were trekking through a remote rainforest. On your journey, you encountered a group of small animals that you've never seen before. Your tour guide recalled a story of a local man being bitten by one of these animals, and later exhibiting symptoms such as a high fever, difficulty breathing, and severe muscle pain. What type of viral transmission could potentially have infected this local? Which of the following is not a best practice to prevent the spread of a virus during an outbreak or pandemic? Excellent job on the knowledge check questions. To recap, in this module, you were given a basic overview of the fundamentals of epidemiology. Also, you were introduced to the most common signs and symptoms associated with a quick-spreading virus or infection, as well as specific measures that can be taken to minimize the spread of transmission. The next module takes a closer look at how information is collected during the contact tracing process.